Our Ugandan-based correspondent, perhaps to bring us up to speed with, among others, this particular story touching on persona non grata status of Babu Owino, as well as this particular concert where Bobi Wine actually performed. Over to you, Solomon.
Hey, Jesse. So over the weekend, Bobi Wine held a concert, the Chalenga concert, and one of the people who had been invited is Member of Parliament, Babu. Unfortunately, he didn't make it. Now, the Minister of Foreign Affairs has officially written to the Minister of Foreign Affairs in Kenya saying that he is persona non grata. Now, like you said, he will not step foot in Uganda. He's unwanted in Uganda until when consultations have been made by the Minister of Internal Affairs. Now, did this catch many Ugandans by surprise? No. Of course, the arguments that are fronted by the Internal Affairs Minister, J.J. Odong, is that he said inflammatory and defamatory statements against the head of state, the President Yoweri Museveni, who is a legitimate president of Uganda, having gone through the ballot. And I don't follow closely in detail the conversation that Honorable Babu made during when Honorable Bobi Wine was in Kenya. I'm not sure what he said, but according to the letter that has been written to the Kenyan authorities, that is the Foreign Affairs, that he mentioned very defamatory statements against the person of the president. Now, what that basically means is that Member of Parliament will not be allowed to come to Uganda. But he's not the first person. Bobi Wine's lawyer, when he addressed a press conference from Washington, and that is Amsterdam, he will never step foot here in Uganda because he's also unwanted. Now, if you put that in context, Jesse, what that basically means is that it is like Uganda, the Ugandan government is trying to block any other people out of Uganda to criticize the sitting regime. And that means that if you are associated with Bobi Wine and you're out of the country and you're criticizing the president, be sure that something similar to that can take place. Now, as pressure continues to mount on President Yoweri Museveni's government, we most likely will see many more people who criticize the NRM regime to be given the persona non grata. But Owino, Babu, has said that he will continue to push for rule of law and democracy in East Africa and is not frailed by that. He described that move as dishonest and uncalled for, and therefore he will continue pushing from Kenya to push for democratic reforms in Uganda. But let's put this, Jason, in an East African context. You have a Kenyan who is not wanted in Uganda. Where does that leave the diplomacy between Kenya and Uganda? Because I believe that Honorable Babu is a member of parliament in Uganda and a respected politician in Uganda. At a broader perspective, does that therefore mean that Kenyan politicians should not make any comments on the way Uganda is governed, and vice versa? Should an MP in Uganda also comment on issues affecting Kenya at large? What does this, you know, the statement from Uganda, what does it mean for the political discourse within the region? It therefore means that if any politician stands in Uganda to condemn what happens in Kenya, it's most likely that if the Kenyan government is aggrieved by what he says, he will be given persona non grata, and it is not good for a democracy, Jesse.
Solomon, obviously those are the facts behind this particular move by the Ministry of Internal Affairs to declare persona non grata on Kenyan parliamentary MP Babu Owino. But perhaps let's approach it in terms of ties, diplomatic ties between Kenya and Uganda. Might this be a move that might actually show that, yes, we recognize that Yoweri Museveni is the president, but do not criticize him in any way, shape, or form, or else this might be the consequence? How do you translate this?
Well, I tell you, Jesse, that every country wants to be seen as a sovereign state, and therefore not just anyone can mention anything against a sitting head of state. But Uganda and Kenya enjoy a very strong partnership and foreign relations at large. I mean, Uhuru Kenyatta, president of Kenya, has been frequently coming to consult with President Yoweri Museveni, and also to, tighten the trade relationship between the two countries. President Yoweri Museveni has always been coming to Kenya. But when you see a member of parliament as big as Babu being, being described as unwanted in the country, we, in the near future, will see the Kenyan government making a solid statement. I don't know what it will be. It will either be in support or against. But what we know is that the Kenyan government and Kenyan authorities have not come out to address themselves on this matter. But as it stands, it will set a very bad precedent, Jesse, because that means that even if democracy is undermined, or even if there is torture or any form of human rights abuses that happen in any of the East African states, many of the people who stand for human rights and who stand for democracy will cow down. They will not have the confidence to criticize a regime because they will be declared persona non grata. So I think it was an early call for the Ugandan government to do that. I felt that it would have started from maybe having a discussion with Kenyan authorities on the way Honorable Babu addressed the president of Uganda, rather than making a quick decision on declaring him a persona non grata. Remember also Amsterdam, Bobi Wine's lawyer, who was also declared